1 out of 3 Americans are fearful about taxes. And I'm one of them. Income tax, property taxes. But in this video, we're going to talk prevention and lessons learned. Lessons learned from owning several properties in different counties in the great state of Texas, which is great, but also well known for the very high property taxes. So it's always a good thing to be prepared. And this is what we're going to address in this video. So if you're enjoying it, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But let's get into it. First step is the prevention. At the time you buy the property, do your research. What exemption, decrease in property tax can you claim here? So the obvious one is if that's your primary residence, you should be able to claim a homestead exemption, which is going to lower the cap on the house property, as well as the increase they can do for you year over year. It's going to be limited to a given percentage. So that's one you can claim, but you can only claim one. So if you've got multiple property, you need to choose wisely. Other than that, depending on the county, but most of them have them. If you are a senior, if you're disabled, you've got different exemptions you can claim here. Then looking at the property in particular, if you own land, you can claim exemption for the land. For instance, if you have a large property, acres with agricultural use, for instance, you can claim, like for the hay, and you actually use it, you can claim exemption. Above a certain acreage, if for instance, I'm thinking of one of the county we have property, you can, above 5 acres, have an exemption on the land if you have beehives, but you have to have 1 hive per acre. So it can be multiple hives, but at the end, it's worth investing in a few hives and collecting honey in order not to pay taxes on your land. Or maybe you have deers in the area, you can claim a wildlife refuge. So it has cost, you need to feed the deers, you need to maintain the habitat, preserve, but costs are going to be minimal compared to how much you save, given your land is going to be mostly exempt. So do your research. It can vary from one county to another, but there are ways to lower your taxes. So that's the first thing. Once this is done, you buy the place, you try your exemption, but what else can you do? So based on my own experience, and I'm not a financial advisor here, this is really lessons I've learned. The first thing I would recommend for you is to protest your taxes. Always protest them. And the first thing is you've got nothing to lose. I mean, best case scenario, you're going to win and it's going to lower your taxes. Worst case, it stays as it is. So take the time and protest it. And I know it takes time. It's frustrating. I hate it myself. It's never a pleasant experience. You have to work and document and then go and argue. But it can be worth a few $1,000s here in Texas. So try and do it. Next lesson, you need to document your case. Document the best you can. And here, take pictures. Anything that could lower the price of the property. Any default on the house, on the surroundings, anything, picture. If you had some repairs, you can prove that it was not working. They're always assessed as of January 1st. So if something was not working and you repaired it in March or April, you might be able to claim something, especially if it's something essential on the house. Major upgrade needed in the kitchen, for instance, damaged. Document how much would it cost you to put it back to market value to have a nice selling price. So do your research here, picture, and look at the surrounding properties. What has sold lately? Has anything sold? Right now, the market is not moving too much in Texas, and the houses are put at a certain level, and you see the prices going down, and still not selling. Same for the land. So you might be able to actually discuss with them and tell them, hey, you value it at the prime market that it was last year, 2 years ago, but this is no longer the market. My neighbor's house, he had to decrease by 50, 60K before selling it. So that is an argument because they really look at comparative property. So you need to be able to compare something in the county that would look like yours. Not easy. You don't always have the right data, not as good as they do. So try to compare with what you have. Look some website like Zillow, Realtor, and look around. Be on the lookout on the signs for sale. Look how long it stays on the market and come with arguments. So market value, property value, comparable, one thing, and then anything that could be damaged and decrease the value of your property. Picture, picture, picture. Documentation. Lesson number 3 here. Check their numbers. In particular, if you have a newer property and if it's a bit complex. And let me give you an example here. We own an RV park in East Texas. So it's a new property. We recently expanded it, and the valuation I just received jumped to the roof. So I know the county, how they work. They have their drones that go around, or they actually RV park, they can just pull in and visit. But I think here they did aerial picture on that one. So ask how is it valued? I mean, it's pretty much number of pads times the price for the pad. So what's the valuation of the pad? That's how you valued last year. We are long-term, not short-term, so it's not the same valuation. And how many pads do you have? And then we have washer, dryer, and so on. And I found out I had to recalculate here because she gave me the price per pad. I was like, no, it doesn't add up. That's too much. We don't have that many pads. How many pads do you have? And they added 4 more than we actually had. We only have 15 pads, and they went down to 19. It's like, but we never had that many. Check your pictures. And she was like, oh yes, you are right. We are wrong on that one. We got too many pads. Yes, you actually do have too many pads. So check it, because they don't. It's in their favor anyway, so why would they, right? So no, get there. And here I got her detailed calculation spreadsheet at the end with the number of pads and each washer, dryer. I started arguing. I mean, there was more to argue, but then it was much smaller and she was getting very defensive at the end. So I gave up on the small items, but I did fight my pads because they were obviously wrong and she could see it from her own pictures. It was just a mistake they did. Whoever she delegated, the junior tax analyst over there, she messed it up. So double, triple check it, review past calculation, make sure it's in line. Next lesson here. Once everything is done, you're scheduled for a hearing. And very often they reach out to you before to try to settle in advance. They don't always do it. In the big city where I'm at, they don't. You have to move forward and actually yourself go and try to talk to an appraiser. But in the countryside, I've had different properties, different counties. They actually reach out first saying, hey, we looked at your property. We can offer that much based on the evidence you submitted. And I would recommend to settle before the hearing. It's usually much easier. You have a one-on-one discussion with the appraiser. You can understand his argument. They can listen to yours. You can review the documentation on both sides, which is what I did with my RV pads. We discussed actually by email because I could not get to her. She was probably in hearings all day, but we did exchange emails and at the end she agreed. I played phone tag as well, left her voicemails. But at the end, we agreed to settle before, and it just lowers the tension so much. It got so much off my shoulders, right there. And I think it makes it also easier for you to negotiate rather being on the board where you have independent members in front of you. They hear both sides, and it's more like a courtroom, very intimidating, and you cannot manage the outcome. They can decide either way. And when we actually on a one-on-one discussion, it's much easier to manage directly with the county. So if you have that opportunity, even so they don't reach out to you, try reaching out to them. Go there, sit. I learned it in the big city, it makes a difference. And in the county as well. When you go to the countryside, we used to have a river house in the hill country. The first year we went for the hearing at the board, and the main appraiser was extremely hard. It was almost impossible to get anything there. It was very, very hard. The second year, learning the mistake, I talked to his subordinate to try to settle, and we actually did settle and lower the price on the property. So try. If it doesn't work, you can always end up going to the board. It's possible. So it's the first step if you're not happy. But it takes time. Everything takes time and energy and frustration as well. So now let's say you go to the board, present your case the best you can. We've done it. You have different ways here. So you can do it in person, physically go there. I've done it and I didn't like it. I did it in the big city. I found it intimidating, like a courtroom, and I waited a long time outside. You're just a number. It's very impersonal. It sucks. It sucks, and I lost. So very bad experience. I would not recommend. Recently, what we're doing on the phone, even we are not there anyway. We do it on the phone. Usually you call in advance. You say, hey, I'm calling for my hearing at 2:00. They say, okay, who are you? All right, I put you down on the list when we're ready, because they're always late. We'll call you. So sometimes they call you in 5 minutes. I think it was 2 years ago. It took an hour and a half, but they call, and then you're on the speaker with the board. They're all there probably physically. You're the only one on the phone, but every time we got some good decrease. So it did work. I think physically might be a tiny bit better if you can make it, but in my case, I would rather do it on the phone and try to, as I said, negotiate in advance first. So the other option is to not do any of this and delegate to a third party. And I have done that. That's actually what I do right now in the big city. It's nice because you have nothing to do. You completely delegate, it's hands off, but they take 25 or 30% of whatever tax decrease you have. Let's say they lower the price of the property and your final tax bill, instead of being 3,000, is going to be 2,500. Well, this 500 you save, you're going to have to do 30% to them and 70 for you. So it's good if you don't have the time, you're not sure you can do it, you don't have the argument, that's great. But if you know your case, you know you're going to win, and you have extremely good evidence, I would not do it. I would try to do it yourself to save this 30%. And here I take the example of a house that is not finished. It's under construction. You have the drywall, the electricity is not up. It's all there. You take pictures, everything, and you submit. You explain where the construction stands, and they're going to decrease the price. You don't want somebody else to go and do it for you here, because you're going to have anyway to be the one taking the picture, give it to the third party, and then they're going to represent you and take 30%. Nah, not worth it. Do it yourself. But in my case, in the big city, it's a homestead. There's not much I can argue really on the prices, so I just delegated. The first year they did get a discount, and the last 2 years I got pretty much nothing. But Houston is still a pretty hot market. Prices have not gone down yet. I think it's starting to flex down slightly. Houses sit on the market a bit longer, so I'm hoping next year, yes, it's gonna go down, but pretty much based on the market comparables here, not my house. So, but yeah, quite a long process, very time consuming, energy consuming. So if you're a stressful person, you don't want to do it, subcontracting to a third party, you've got plenty of companies that offer to do it. The one that's representing me here in Houston, for instance, offered to do our country houses, and I was like, no, these ones I do it. I want the savings 100%. I don't want to share. But if it's too much for you, you can always subcontract, because I have to admit it is oh gosh, I hate it. Every year it's like, taxes, you know. It's, especially when you think about it, it always goes higher. And when I see in the country what the money is used for, it's just yes, not good. I mean, the roads are still not well maintained, and that's really their job to maintain the roads. I homeschool, so I don't benefit from any homeschooling district. It can be frustrating. And every year they add more and more regulations and things that you have as an entrepreneur, like building the RV park, more steps we have to follow. Like we were looking at potentially expanding it more. And it's just, we started building it 3 years ago. I mean, it's very recent. And they put all these different regulation steps you have to go to, an engineer has to inspect and so on. And every time it's money, 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 and time. And how do they do all this? With your money, with your taxes. So they use your taxes to put more burden on you. This is just insane. But anyway, that was not really the purpose of the video here. It was more to see how you can try to lower these taxes, property taxes. So here I spoke for Texas, but what I said here can apply to other states. Is the same logic. So prevention first, try to lower your taxes as much as possible by claiming exemptions. Then always protest, always document well, use a third party if you cannot do it, but otherwise try to settle in advance if you can. And last resort, go to the board for the hearing. Not necessary to go in person, you can do it on the phone. And good luck. Good luck, good luck. So hope you found this useful. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching.